In this video, I'm going to share with you my always model. And if I was going to trade a model for the rest of my life, it would be this one. And honestly, this strategy never fails. What I mean by that is this is a proven data-backed system that actually has a real statistical edge within the markets. This system is fully rules-based and fully mechanical. And so if you follow the exact rules that I'm about to share with you, you are guaranteed to make money over the long term. Step 1 is identifying daily bias. Step 2 is manipulation. Step 3 is a change in the state of delivery or confirmation. Step 4 is target opposing liquidity or a mechanical take profit. So this right here is my always model. Step 1, we need to identify a strong uptrending market. Therefore, we would be long bias on this market. Step 2, we need to identify manipulation. Because we're long bias, we need to see a raid of sell side liquidity. What this will be doing right here is inducing traders thinking that the market is breaking lower, and so they will be getting trapped. What this manipulation will also do is stop out any early buyers. Their stop losses will be below the sell side liquidity, and so if a buy is being stopped out, this forces them to sell at market price, and so this floods even more sell orders into the market. Step 3 is we need to wait for a change in the state of delivery. If you're looking at the 1 minute time frame, it's going to look something like this. Let's say that this is your sell side liquidity. We've came down and we've raided that sell side liquidity. You're looking for a breaking market structure to the upside. This right here is your change in state of delivery. And then you can look at longing this market to the upside. This is also a higher probability setup if we inverse a bearish fair value gap, and that's really what stacks the probabilities in your favor. Alternatively, you can just look for a 15-minute bullish confirmation out of this area, because 99% of the time, if we're closing bullish on the 15-minute time frame, this will translate over to a 1-minute market structure shift, and you'll often find that we'll be creating bullish fair value gaps on the 1-minute time frame, and we will even have inversions of bearish fair value gaps right here. And so it's really up to you on what type of trader you want to be, whether you want to be more passive and look at 15-minute bullish confirmations, or if you want to look for a more granular and refined entry, then you can drop down to the 1-minute or 2-minute time frame. Once you're triggered long in this trade right here, invalidation will go below the liquidity sweep, and then we're looking at targeting opposing buy side liquidity or a mechanical 1 to 2 risk to reward. This buy side liquidity could be the Asia or London session high, and this sell side liquidity could be the Asia or London session low. Now let's look at the sell model. Let's say that your daily bias is bearish on this market. Then what you need to see is a manipulation of buy side liquidity. What this will do is induce traders long within this market and also stop out any early sellers. This will force them to buy at market, and therefore this will flood the market with more buy orders. This right here could be the Asia or London session high. This right here could be the Asia or London session low. Once we've seen the manipulation, this is what it's going to look like on the smaller time frames. So we've raided that buy side liquidity. You're then looking for a change in the state of delivery. This is when we break market structure to the downside. And if we inverse a bullish fair value gap, this will give us a higher probability setup. And then we can look at shorting this market to the downside. If you want to be a little bit more passive, then you can just wait for a 15-minute bearish confirmation. Invalidation will go just above the liquidity sweep, and then you can look at targeting opposing liquidity down at the Asia or London session low, or a mechanical take profit at a 1 to 2 risk to reward. And so this is a sell regime for my always model. Now let's look at some live trade examples. Okay, so we're currently looking at the German 40 on the 15-minute time frame. And this system can actually work across all asset classes. In particular, I've found that it works very well with gold, very well with ES, NQ, the German DAX, and also EU and GU. Okay, so the first thing that we need to understand is what is our daily directional bias. And this right here is where you're going to have to hear me out, and this right here is where so many ICT traders go wrong. The problem that so many traders are facing is they have a subjective way of identifying daily directional bias. I like to use a simple 50, 100, and 200 exponential moving average. When the 50 is greater than the 100, which is greater than the 200, this just indicates that we are long bias on this market. We're not taking trades directly off of the EMAs, but they're just there as a confluence to our system. Because we're long bias, we need to identify sell side liquidity. And we have sell side liquidity resting below the Asia session low. And I mark it on from 7 p.m. until 12 o'clock midnight. daylight, and this is New York time. So we see a raid of sell side liquidity right here during the London kill zone. And this is going to induce traders short into this market. This is also going to stop out any early buyers. And so that will force them to sell at current market prices. And so this floods the market with further sell orders. But we understand that we are actually long bias on this market. And so it's very likely that this is just a trap in order to grab liquidity before moving the markets in the intended direction. Now that we've seen a raid of liquidity, you can simply wait for a bullish 15-minute confirmation. Please note this is during the London kill zone, which is between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Eastern time. We can then enter a buy position on the break of this 15-minute bullish candle high. Invalidation goes just below the liquidity sweep, and then you can simply target a mechanical 1 to 2 risk to reward. Or alternatively, you can drop down to the 1-minute time frame like so. This right here is your raid of sell side liquidity below the Asia session low. And so you'd be looking for a change in the state of delivery. This right here is your most recent swing high before we broke the low. And so you'd be waiting for a 1-minute candle close above. And you can see we also inverse this bearish fair value gap right here. And so this is a very, very high probability setup for a continuation higher. So we're back to the 15-minute time frame right here. We're triggered long in this trade. And as you can see during the London session, this trade hit take profit for a 1 to 2 risk to reward. And we ultimately ran the buy side liquidity right here. So it's really up to you whether you want to drop down to the 1-minute time frame and look for a more pinpoint entry, or if you want to take a more calm approach and just wait for 15-minute bullish confirmations, entries on the break of that bullish candle high and validation below the liquidity sweep, and just look at simply targeting a mechanical 1 to 2. You know, we're not looking for a home run here. We're just looking at getting in and out of the market. And just to put things into perspective, this trade hit take profit in just 1 hour. And so just to recap right here, we have a daily bias. The 50 EMA is greater than the 100, which is greater than the 200. So we're long bias on this market. We see a raid of session-based liquidity. This is in the form of the Asia session low. We then wait for a confirmation on the 15-minute time frame or a 1-minute change in the state of delivery. And then we look at targeting a mechanical 1 to 2 or buy side liquidity. Okay, so now let's look at another example. Daily bias is bullish because the 50 EMA is greater than the 100, which is greater than the 200. Therefore, we're only looking for longs on this market. You can see we're entering into the New York kill zone. This is between 8 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. Because we're long bias, we need to see a manipulation, and in this example we're raiding the liquidity below the London session low, and so we're simply waiting for a 15-minute bullish confirmation. And it's very important that you don't just go blindly longing this area right here. You need to wait for the market to show its hand. You need the market to indicate that buyers are actually stepping into the market. We get a 15-minute bullish confirmation right here, and so we can enter on the break of this candle high, invalidation just below the liquidity sweep, and again target a mechanical 1 to 2, and so we're triggered long in this trade right here. And now it's just up to the markets. We're not looking at micromanaging this trade. It's literally either take profit is hit or stop loss is hit. And as you can see, take profit was hit for a 1 to 2 risk to reward right here. I think this is a great example because it shows the reality of trading. So this trade was actually held for 17 hours. And I think it's very important to show that not all trades are just going to go straight to your take profit. Sometimes you've got to be very, very patient within the market. And so being very calm and not micromanaging your trade is very, very important. At the end of the day, trading is 10% strategy and 90% psychology. And so lots of traders probably would have closed this trade early when they've seen these sorts of pullbacks in the market. But when you trade a fully mechanical rules-based trading system like this one, it's important to just accept the risk once you are triggered in this trade right here and just allow the trade to play out. And that is the beauty of this set and forget style system. Okay, so we've understood that this system works on ES, NQ, the DAX, even on FX like GBP, USD. Now let's look at another sell example. This is on gold on the 15-minute time frame. In terms of directional bias, the 50 EMA is less than the 100, which is less than the 200. So this indicates that we're sell bias on this market. Because we're sell bias, we need to see a manipulation. This right here is your manipulation where we run the buy side liquidity above the London session high. And this occurred during the pre-New York session. So we're simply waiting for the New York kill zone. And so we get a 15-minute bearish confirmation right here. We can enter on the break of this 15-minute candle low, invalidation above the liquidity sweep, and again targeting a mechanical 1 to 2. And you can also see that kind of matches up with this Asia session sell side liquidity. Also, if you drop down to the 1 minute time frame, you can see we had this higher low, this higher high, and then we have a change in the state of delivery, breaking market structure to the downside, and we also get an inversion of this bullish fair value gap right here. And so if you are on the 1 minute time frame, you're going to be looking at shorting this area right here, looking for lower prices. But because I like to trade a more calm and hands-off approach, my entry was on the break of this 15-minute candle low. So it triggered short in this trade right here, and it's literally either stop loss or take profit as hit. And as you can see during the New York session, this trade hit take profit for a 1 to 2, and then we also got some further continuation to the downside running that Asia session sell side liquidity. Please note as well, this trade came back to entry literally twice. And so it's very important that your psychology is in check, because a lot of traders may have closed this trade early or moved their stop loss to break even too early as well. And it's this micromanaging of your positions that could be the difference from you being a losing trader versus a profitable trader. So it's this exact system that has allowed me to get funded over $800,000 in the last 90 days. It's worked for me, it's worked for many of my members, and so I think it can work for you too. If you want to learn more and you want to see me trade this system live every single day, then make sure to check out my exclusive community or my one-on-one mentorship. Please note this is only for very, very serious traders. Thanks so much for your time, and you take care, guys.